In today's podcast episode, I'm going to talk to you about why you need to stop making up the excuse that there's too many detailers and what you can do to change that. This is the Detailing Business Class Podcast. And welcome back to another podcast episode. Glad to have you here. I'm actually wearing a sweater right now because yesterday it was like 90 degrees and this morning it's like 60. So that is Texas for you. And we're supposed to be in spring right now, but I don't know. That's just the weather. So yeah, today we're going to talk about it being too easy to start a detailing business. I see this and hear this all the time on my profiles and accounts or other people's comment section and such. And it kind of gets to me because it's just having that type of mentality of something external is affecting your business. It's just like that's just not something I agree with. And I think if you kind of hold on to that mentality, it can definitely limit your potential on what you can do. So I have my notes here as per usual, so I'll kind of look at them, reference them, and then just expand on that one. So the first one is a common theme I hear from detailers is it's too easy for anyone to start a detailing business. Now, that is true in the sense of you don't need to go to trade school, you don't need licensing, you don't need, at least relative to, like, let's say being like a contractor, a barber, or all these other professions, right? So that's one thing I'd first want to ask you is that, like, when people say like it's too easy to start, it's like, so do you want to have like this red tape involved, red tape as far as like government bodies needing to approve you for something, right? Like, do you want to have to go to a trade school for 8 months, a year, and pay tuition of, I don't know, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 for tuition to get a licensing to be approved by your state body to or city to allow you to go and wash cars and detail vehicles? Like, is that what some people are asking, or is that like what people have in mind of like, oh, it's too easy to start? It's like, why do we want it to be more difficult? Like, why do we want it to be, oh, go get this license and go get this permit and, go get this fee and pay for this and pay for that. And you have to wait this license. Like, why do we want that? Like it detailing is, I mean, I couldn't tell you in the grand scheme of things how many professions they are that do or don't require some type of licensing. But as far as the automotive space, I mean, I would say detailing and detailing is just one of the few things that you don't need all these things to pass in order to get your business started. Is that not a great thing to say, man, I have this hobby of mine, I have this passion of mine, and I can just start this now and I don't have to wait. I could just, like, next weekend I can start making money now. I think that's a great thing. Like, I don't see why we need to get so many more things involved, or why we need more permission or more anything. It's like, yes, that is the beauty of it, is like you can just go and start. Like, yes, that means it's a lower barrier to entry with getting started, but it's like, whose fault is that? Like, are you saying because everyone else can start, that's hurting you? Because if that's the case, then that's on you, my friend. That's not on what it takes to actually get started. And that's just the reality of it. Like, we don't need more red tape. Like, think about many other professions, some rightfully so, need that red tape, need that governing body to make sure things are getting done right. You just think about food or construction, like that makes sense. And I think I forget how long ago it was that I saw I think it was in California, where they wanted to remove the cosmologist licensing, so that you don't need that in order to get started. And there's a big one camp was mad because, hey, I paid this much for tuition, and now anyone can do it. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, anyone can do it. Like, if you already went through the schooling and you paid for it, I can see the resentment towards removing that. But for the most part, it's like, yeah, like it you don't really want that much red tape in order to get started. And look, let me ask you this: have you ever gone, or maybe not you personally, but like, becoming a lawyer, it's not an easy task, right? It requires a lot of school, a lot of learning, a lot of money, a lot of tuition, right? And if you go to a bigger school, a better school, you're paying a lot in tuition, right? Now, let me ask you this: do you think there's a crappy lawyer out there? Huh? Do you think there's a crappy lawyer out there that doesn't care about the profession, that doesn't care about his job, that doesn't care about doing the best that he can for his clients? Of course, yet he went to school for at least 4 years. He paid a lot in tuition. He spent all that time studying for the bar exam. He passed the bar exam. He started his business. He's getting clients. He's crappy though. So what gives, right? He still went to school, right? He's paid much more than what any of us detailers would for tuition to becoming a detailer. He's still crappy. Why is that, right? You don't think there's a doctor that's crappy? It happens. There's good and bad, or at least great and crappy in every profession, in every field, regardless of what red tape or training or fees or licensing that you need. Like it just that's the way things go. So when someone says, "Man, it's just there's so many cheap detailers," it's like, all right, why are you comparing yourself to the cheap detailers then? Why are you not up there in the top echelon of the premium detailers? Why is that on the process of how to get started? How does that affect you on becoming one of the better detailers in your area and charging the premium rates that you want? Like there shouldn't be a correlation between that. There should not be. um, so yeah, it's like you don't want red tape. Like you want to remove as much of that red tape as you can. So if anyone were to advocate for that, I'd be very against that because we don't need to do that. Like we truly do not need that in the detailing industry. I mean, imagine if take it all the way to the extreme now, and every time that you wanted to do a two-step correction on a vehicle, you need to go get a permit or you need to go get approval from the dealership because you're technically modifying the vehicle, right? Like, let's say it went to that extent. It's like, does that make anything much better? No, of course it doesn't. So, you know, if there's any type of like, oh, we should add more fees or licensing or they should come through us for permitting. It's like, dude, no, like not at all in the slightest bit. Like imagine when I was 17, 18 years old and I wanted to start a business. It's like I was just able to start it. I was able to start this business because I didn't require anything. And yeah, let's say, rewind 11 years ago, I was probably, compared to now, I was a crappy detailer. I didn't know what I was doing. I was getting subpar results compared to what I'm doing now. But it's like I had the opportunity to do that because I didn't need much to get started. If I wanted to be a mechanic, I need to go to trade school. I need to go get this. I need to go get that. I need to go be a mechanic somewhere. Or if I wanted to start my own mechanic shop, how much money do you think I need in order to get a shop, the equipment, the lifts, the tools, and all that stuff? With detailing, a couple $100, I can go get started. That allows me to go and actually find my purpose. To find a purpose in life and say, oh, maybe this is my calling. Maybe I don't want to go to school. I dropped out. I'm not in the best financial place to go and do these other things. But hey, I like detailing. I have a few tools and products, and I can just go get started right now. Like why would I advocate for that to be taken away from everyone else? So yeah, I'm not I hope it always stays the easiest to go and start a business. I hope there's never any red tape. I hope there's never any governing body that says yes, no, or like you have to wait this long, or you have to pay these fees, or you have to go and get this license. Like I hope it's never to that regard, right? In some cities, depending on where you are, they do require different, maybe different permits or licensing, depending like as far as like the water usage and like where you're zoned. Like that, I kind of get. But as far as saying like, hey, you need to go through this governing body to become a detailer, and if you don't, and you don't pay this fee or you don't pay whatever, then you can't. It's like, nah, I would never advocate for that ever. So, number two, second point is cheap detailers are not taking your customers away. That's a big one. That's one that I hear a lot more often, where you're not able to charge more because there's so many cheap detailers in your area. The reality is you simply don't have the proper marketing plan in place to generate high quality leads. Like that's what I was saying. Like that's not your internal problems in your business is not caused by those external problems, right? Just because there's a lot more detailers in your area, just because there's a lot more cheaper detailers in your area, does not affect why you can't charge. Am I recording? I am recording. Okay, I was about to say I'm not recording my podcast. There being a lot more cheaper detailers in your area does not affect what you can charge in your area, like in your specific little street that you're on. Because and you can look at this all day long on my YouTube videos. When I say like, hey, we charge $600 for this detail, we charge $1,400 for this detail, we charge $1,800 for this detail, we charge $400 for this detail. In the comment section, you will see it all day long. Oh, I wish I lived there so I could charge those rates. Oh man, those are such, I would kill for those rates. Oh man, over here you go anything over $100 and people start complaining. Oh man, over here, you'll never get those kind of rates. And it's like, okay, well, the reality of those comments is that there's detailers down the street right here that would say those same things. Right? Oh man, I have nothing but cheap detailers. Oh man, no one wants to pay over $100 over here. Detailers down my road are saying the same thing. So why is it that why is it that we're able to charge much higher rates than the detailer just down the road, let alone everyone on that I'm seeing on the comments, And it's like, what's the difference there? What's the discrepancy, right? Am I the most expensive detailer in my area? Not at all either. There's other shops that are charging much more expensive than we are. And it's like, so what gives? So what is the difference between, the shops that's charging the highest in the city, us that were charging a premium rate, versus the detailer down the road that is having a hard time charging $150 for a full detail? What is the difference there? Right? We're in the same area. We're offering relatively the same services, right? And it's like, well, what gives? What is the difference there? And that's just like your marketing, your advertising. That's like how you position your business, your customer service, the customer experience, like how you sell your services, how you convey yourself. Like it's all these like details. And then it's not even details. Like these are big rocks in your business that you have to figure out to get away from, like, oh yeah, the cheap detailers. It's like, it's not that, man. It's not the cheap detailers. It's not the cheap detailers, because I can also point out so many examples of detailers that live in smaller cities, that live in areas that, I'm in Houston, so we have 2-3 million people that live here, so we have a big pool of customers that to that every business can go pick off of. What if you live in a city that only has 40,000 people, right? Are you limited to just not charging a lot, or not charging your premium rates because there's not enough people? No, I know plenty of detailers that are charging still $800, $1,200, $1,400, $1,800 for a correction and coating when their city is 40,000 people, 50,000 people. And it's like, what gives? What is the difference here, right? Like, so you might be saying, oh, there's so many cheap detailers. Okay. Then you go to a smaller city. Oh, it's because the city's not big enough. It's like, okay, what is it then, man? Is it cheap detailers? Is there too many detailers? Is that there's not enough red tape? Is it that, it's like, you got to cut the excuses out and look at yourself and say, okay, I guess that's not really an external problem. It's something that I'm doing with myself. It's something that I'm doing with my business that's not generating the results that I want. And you have to look at it in yourself. Don't worry about these external factors, because you can't allow that to have an impact on your business, because it doesn't. Like what happens in your business, how you're able to grow it, how much you make, how, like, what you do, the customers that you get, it's all on you. It's not the cheap detailer. It's not that there's too many detailers. It's not that there's too many people. There's not enough people in your area. It all comes down to your level of effort into your business that determines the amount of value that you generate in your business. Like, that is the reality. It all starts and stops at you. 100% every single time. No ifs and buts. I got a little passionate there. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scream at you guys. But it's true. Like I get very, very riled up when I hear things, because it's like, man, like, okay, if I had a magic wand and I went, abracadabra, and I removed all the cheap detailers in your area, I removed all of them. All right. Can you now raise your prices? Can you now raise your prices? Can you? I don't know. Can you instantly just raise your rates? Is that going to work out? Right. If I say abracadabra, right, and I put you in a city with 2 million people now, right? Is your shop now going to be fully packed out? Is it? Right? Do you really think that's going to make the difference? Probably not, right? You'd like to think so, but it's probably not. It's probably, like I said, it's going to be your marketing, your advertising, your sales, how you communicate with customers, your customer service, customer experience, so many other things other than, oh, there's so many detailers, man. Not a problem. That's not the problem. Okay, third point. If you're paying attention to other competitors, you are completely wasting your time. You have to focus on creating the best business that you can for yourself, and it's kind of, it follows the same theme of everything else. Of like, so if there is 10 other detailers, 20 other detailers, 100 other detailers in your area, it's like, why are you paying attention to them? Now, don't get me wrong. If you just kind of want to see, like, if you kind of want to get a gauge for, like, okay, what's everyone kind of charging around here? What's the size of everyone's? Sure, that's fine. That's just you checking out the market and seeing, like, where's everyone at. But if you're like, okay, so I see detailer A over, let's Zebra Detailing over there. Okay, so they have one shop, they have 2 employees. Okay, great. What kind of cars are they working on? Okay, so, and then I have over here, Jason's Detailing. Okay, he has one mobile van. He's working at his home. Okay, he's working on just interiors. Okay, and it's like, if you're doing that level of attention to other detailers, it's like, you're just wasting your time. You are wasting your breath. You are wasting your precious time you have on this planet Earth looking and paying attention to other detailers. Like, that does not do you any good, right? Like, comparing yourself to any degree, whether you're saying, oh, wow, I'm better than that person, or you're saying, oh, wow, that guy's way bigger than me, it does not matter. You have to stay in your lane, right? It goes back to, like, it's your business, right? Don't mind their business. Like, literally, don't mind their actual business. You got to mind your own business. And it's like, if the time you take away and spend it on another detailer and on another business, it's taking it away from your time on your business, right? So you can go and say, oh, so what's that detailer doing? So they have a new car. Oh, they're working on a Ferrari. Oh, okay, well they're probably not doing this and they're probably not doing that. Okay, go do something in your business. Go be productive, man. Like go work on something that's gonna create value to your customers, to you. That's gonna generate more money. Like that's what's gonna make the difference, right? That's what's gonna make the difference. Not just saying, oh, so what they doing over there? What they doing over there? No, dude, like stop, right? There's plenty of detailers in my area. That down the street here, the car wash, local detailer, mobile detailer. I don't care, and it's not that I don't care about their success or I hope they go out of business. It's like, dude, like you are running your own business. You go do your own thing. I don't have an impact on you. You shouldn't worry about me. I'm not gonna worry about you. I hope for the best for you. There's plenty of cars to work on around here. We're not competitors. We're here to do the same thing. Like if you need help with anything, let me know. Like I'll give you advice here and there. But it's like don't just don't look at me and say, oh, well, this is what he's doing, so I should be doing that. It's like, no, you do what works for you. You'll figure out what's gonna work out for you. You got to make sure your customers are happy. You got to make sure your team is staying fed and happy and like what they work at. Like, don't worry about me. If my ship is sinking, just wave at me. All right. I did what I could, but it's going down. Like that's the level of attention you got to give each other. Basically nothing, right? Just there's another detailer. That's great. Go shake his hand. Say, how you doing today? Hope everything's well. And then keep things moving on. You don't need to go out there and just just waste your time paying attention to other detailers. It does not matter. I'm telling you, it truly does not matter. Now, it does help if you have friends, though, like other detailer friends. And, that in that regard, it does help. Like just having good relationships, and not so much like friends, so to speak, but like just having good standing relationships with other detailers in your area. Just to bounce back, ideas back and forth to say, hey, man, like, my, the last 2 weeks have been really slow. Like, has it been for you? Yeah, it's been slow for me too. It's like, oh, because maybe that's kind of like a thing that's been going around, or, you got some, I don't, it's good to have friends in that regard. And that way you can guys talk about your business and, kind of just bounce ideas back and forth. But in anything other than that, anything that's not positive and building your business up and their business up, it's a waste of time, a big waste of time. All right, so the last part here, and I always preface this with saying people don't like it when I say this, but detailing is not difficult. All right, so it's not that hard to detail. Stop thinking there's something special you have to do, or only a select type of people can do in the business, right? Like going back to the same thing, like, oh, there's so many cheap detailers. Like, you just pick up a bucket and a wash towel and call yourself a detailer. It's like, is there much more than that though? Like, is there really? And not to that degree, but I'm saying, like, yeah, to go do a two-step correction, does it really require a degree in bioengineering? If you want to apply ceramic coating, do you need a certification in I don't know, installing brakes? Just like, is there really something that crazy that you need, right? Like, it's not that difficult to detail. It's not that difficult to clean an interior, right? To shampoo, to extract, to clean leather, to clean headliners, to clean plastic door panels. Like, is it really that difficult that like no one else can do? No, it's like polishing paint's not that difficult. Yes, there's degrees to it. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's levels to this. But as far as saying, like, oh man, like, hey, can you go and, like, disarm this bomb that has 10 pounds of, explosives? It's like, okay, that requires a level of skill. To pick up a polisher and a pad and to go get, 70% removal of swords and scratches, not as difficult. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying it's not this thing where it's like, oh, hey man, like you guys better watch out. Like, only a select few, and that's and I'm one of them. It's like, it's not that difficult. So when it comes to, like, there's so many cheap detailers, or it's easy to do, right? It's very simple to do. And that's why I get back to, like, hey, look, it's not so much just about the detailing. The reason why there's so many cheap detailers in your area is because they don't know how to market themselves. They don't know how to generate leads for themselves. They don't know how to generate quality leads for themselves. So the only thing that they can bank on is say, okay, well, I'll just charge super cheap. And if you fall into that camp, if you're saying, well, I would charge more, I would do this, but it's because these detailers are charging cheap. It's like, okay, then why are you comparing yourself to these cheap detailers? If you're not cheap, go compare yourself against the premium detailers then, right? In your area where you're saying there's too many cheap detailers, there's also premium detailers, right? Don't forget that. If you're looking at the low side, also look at the high side, right? In your area, you're saying, oh, there's so many cheap detailers and this and that. Okay, is there not one other shop, one other detailer, one other mobile detailer in your area that's charging the highest above everyone else? Yes, there is. So why don't you go focus on that person, right? Instead of comparing yourself to the cheap detailers, why don't you say, well, those two detailers are charging so much more than everyone else. What are they doing, right? Why I want to be like them. I want to be in that category. Not like them, but I want to be in that category of a premium detailer. So maybe I shouldn't focus over here. Maybe they're doing something different than all the other cheap detailers, right? Could that be a thing? It's most certainly can. And I can guarantee you it's not just going to be being a better detailer. That has something to do with it for sure, right? Being able to produce better results 100%. But there's probably more to it than just being a better detailer, right? Because again, detailing in itself isn't difficult. I mean, you can take one of those cheap detailers, give them a day of training, and they can now become a premium detailer. But there's so much more around that helps them charge those premium rates and to be a better positioned business than everyone else. Where am I at? What time? Okay, so I'm actually gonna end it right here. Hopefully I didn't get too aggressive or mad. When with this subject specifically, I do get a bit heated because it's like, man, like I don't want you guys to have that mentality of like, oh, like, the only reason I'm not charging high is because these cheap detailers. Oh, the only reason I'm not successful is because there's too many detailers. It's like, no, man, you can't have that mentality because, when would you? It's like you're looking at it. What kind of worries me about that is that, like, it's more of you're developing that mental habit to believe there's something else that's stopping you from being successful, rather than saying, hey, I'll have to figure this out on my own and see how I'm able to generate quality leads that'll pay me my premium rates in order for me to be successful, right? So those are two complete different things of thinking, right? Having that mentality of like, well, there's always going to be something that's going to get in my way, versus saying, hey, no matter what is in my way, I'm going to figure it out and get better and be able to keep on moving up. So that's why it's like it really irks me when I hear these kind of conversations, because it's like it's a very limited thinking kind of mentality of like, oh, there's too many, oh, I can't do this, oh, I can't do that. It's like, yes you can, yes you can, yes you can. So I'll end the podcast right here. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can check the description box down below for the ultimate guide to start your detailing business, my second YouTube channel, the Proper Gear channel, and anything else I'll have linked down there below. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, just check the show notes. You'll have the same links right there. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in into another podcast episode, and I will talk to everyone on the next one. Bye-bye.